Culture has a powerful effect on human behavior, including behavior at work. People create cultures, join cultures, and change cultures, yet most of this is done unintentionally, so we are unaware we are doing it. In order to understand how organizational culture affects performance at work and in life, a decade ago, I started measuring brain activity from people while they worked. One reason for our culture blindness at work is that we instinctively create culture. Because it arises without effort, we hardly notice it. Anthropologists measure the attributes of culture through observation, but the approach my research team has taken is different. As neuroscientists, we asked if culture could be designed for high engagement based on our knowledge of the social brain. Recent findings in social neuroscience, a number of them from my lab, have provided fresh insights into why some organizations achieve high performance while others stumble. We call this approach to organizational design neuromanagement. This book reports a decade's worth of testing and refinements of these implications, including field experiments in businesses and my consulting work for-profit companies, nonprofits, and government agencies. Leaders of organizations have been allergic to measuring culture for a variety of reasons, foremost among them because managing people has been seen as an art, not a science. Researchers who applied science to management, like the early 20th century sociologist Frederick Winslow Taylor, often misapplied it by reducing managers to enforcers of ever smaller tasks. Taylor, in particular, failed to recognize that organizations are people embedded in a culture. Later 20th century scholars understood the culture is us aspect of corporations, but they did not have access to insights from the neuroscience of human sociality because the field only blossomed in the 21st century. Instead, they embraced each psychological fad, Freud, Jung, and Skinner, or the latest economics and management fads, Six Sigma, economic value added, or the behavioral economics of organizations. In most of these approaches, employees were doled out rewards like so many breadcrumbs given to rats, and they hated it. Managing people as human resources to be exploited for maximum gain produced workplaces that confirmed economists' claims that work provides disutility, or, in the vernacular, work is a drag. Except sometimes it wasn't. There are organizations in which employees love what they do, where they are satisfied professionally and personally by their work, and where they choose to spend their entire careers. This book presents the neuroscience of organizational culture and provides examples of organizations where work is fulfilling and even fun. At these organizations, the disutility of work has mostly disappeared. The practical approach to culture that this book describes is grounded in science and tested in real organizations. I did not plan to be a culture maven. I run a 25-person neuroscience lab, and I'm trained as an economist and as a neuroscientist. I helped start a field called neuroeconomics that measures brain activity while people make decisions. Neuroeconomics tells us why people do what they do, rather than describes their behavior with pejoratives like irrational. Perhaps more to the point, I'm the son of an engineer, and my neuroscience experiments are designed to engineer solutions to real problems that real people face. I've been called a vampire economist because I spend much of my professional life taking blood from willing volunteers to measure neurochemical changes during decisions, just like I was doing in Papua New Guinea. I was the first scientist to show that the brain synthesizes the neurochemical oxytocin when we are trusted, and that oxytocin causes us to reciprocate trust by being trustworthy. Oxytocin actually does much more than that, profoundly affecting the way individuals behave socially and the way societies are organized, as I reported in my 2012 book, The Moral Molecule. I spent more than a decade running experiments to document what inhibits and promotes oxytocin release in healthy people, patients with psychiatric and neurologic disorders, and even psychopaths, but my initial research on trust seemed to attract the most attention. In research I published in 2001, I showed that a culture of trust was among the most powerful predictors economists had ever found to explain why some countries are prosperous while others are poor. High-trust countries have more social interactions that result in more economic transactions that create wealth.